Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So I've just done a video about the sort of monthly roundup of sort of blockchain game activity, which I normally do, and I'm breaking out and doing a separate video on CryptoMines because it's I think interesting and worth doing in a bit more detail to look at some of these sort of extra data. So normally I just look at these sort of wallet activity, but now we've got a bit more stuff to look at. So CryptoMines is a game running on the Binance Smart Chain, which is a blockchain which is obviously fairly centralized and obviously very attached to the Binance ecosystem. I'm not a massive fan of Binance Smart Chain because it's not very decentralized, but clearly it's been very successful in terms of DeFi sort of protocols and activity. It's not been, there's been a lot of games sort of on there. I guess they've tended to be more of what is now called GameFi. So they're not sort of pure games. They're games that sort of revolve around sort of financial features, and typically they involve sort of buying NFTs and doing something with them, and then sort of extracting some sort of underlying token from the system. So it's almost like a sort of a yield farming or a token distribution mechanic that involves NFTs. And I don't think those things are necessarily scams. I don't know enough about the people behind some of these projects, but I do think they just the way that their economy is sort of set up is they're very focused on a token and effectively then become very focused on the token price. And if the token price goes up, these things tend to overheat very quickly, and then the token price tends to explode, and everyone starts selling off, and then the whole thing collapses. So we definitely saw that with Crypto Blades. So if you're interested in that, check out my videos about Crypto Blades. I've done a few. And that was a game that was at one point the biggest blockchain game, over 400,000 daily active unique wallets, and then very quickly went down. It's about 10,000 at the moment. So what I've done here with CryptoMines is data from DAppRadar. This is on-chain data. So basically from DAppRadar, we always get users, volumes, and transactions. So this is all on the same scale. So we can't really see users because it's very small, but we'll look at that in more detail. But I think it's good to get sort of a starting set of data. So the number of users, which is now getting onto 300,000 daily active unique wallets. But here we have the transactions, so number of transactions going through the smart contracts. So we can see the growth there, and then particularly the volume. So this is a measure of the sort of value going into the system, which is sort of measured. So it's the sort of financial flows in and out of the system, which is also geared by the token price. So that's why this thing is growing so quickly. And that's why this thing has sort of collapsed now, because the token price has collapsed. I've got another slide about token price, so we'll look at that in a minute. But we can just sort of see, it's a fairly short period of time. So really starting in September, not much happens in October, and then really it's actually sort of November is where all this sort of stuff start happening, and we just suddenly see the volume. So the sort of value going into this product every day really sort of explodes, and then suddenly comes down again quite quickly. So what I've tried to do here is sort of show this in a bit more detail, and this is showing. What I've done is I've normalized it. So I've basically taken a starting point, which is the 14th of September, and I've set all these metrics to 1. Then, so that's effectively 100%. Was actually I've set it to 1, so it's not percent. It's 1. So we have in blue we have users. So this is the growth of users since that period of time. And then we have in red we have the normalized volume, so we can see how much the volume has grown. Then in yellow we have the number of transactions, and then in green we have the token price, so this eternal token. So I've basically just taken this from CoinGecko, just manually just taken out every day's price. So we can kind of see here, I think it's quite interesting to see that if we're looking at the velocity of these different metrics, what is really exploding here. So if we normalize from this point here, at this point the price of the token was about $1. So we can see sort of how much it's sort of gone up. It's actually less than $1. I think it's half a dollar, but that sort of level. So we can see here, what's always interesting, I think, for me to see, volume and transactions tend to be quite geared together. They're sort of not all the time, they're not directly linked, but the number of transactions is sort of the activity going on there, and the volume is sort of the value going in and out. So these things are more linked than number of users, because we know users can be switched on in terms of bots, but we also know there are users in terms of us people who tend to be a bit stupid, and there's always this sort of, you know, in these sort of tokenomics, there's always these sort of Johnny come latelys who sort of see, oh, the token price has gone up a lot. Oh, maybe I should get in now. And obviously, when the thing's about to implode, that's the worst time to get in. But we tend to find that if we look at volume and transactions, that's sort of where the smart money is. So that's probably where, you know, on these blockchains where transaction prices are fairly cheap, you can have a lot of bots operating. So that's always good to look at. You know, if the volume and the transactions are still going up, then probably means we've not reached the peak of the market. But we actually kind of see here, a bit difficult to see. So the peak of the market sort of happens. This is in terms of the token value, and this is obviously this is what you're extracting from this product, from this game. There's a bit of a wobble, but then it suddenly goes down, and then as soon as that goes down, then suddenly we see transaction numbers going down a lot. We see volume going down a lot. So basically, we can sort of see these things as, you know, if you were sort of a financially savvy person or IT savvy person who knew about blockchains and can build bots, you would keep doing this thing while it makes money, and it's almost like the token price almost goes up the most before it crashes. It's not quite like that, but sort of that kind of dynamic. So actually, you don't want to get out too early, because that's your biggest opportunity to make money. Although you can actually see here the transaction numbers actually dropped before, you know, a day before the actual token price dropped. So you know, smart money is always looking to see how high they can ride it, but also as soon as they think it's going, then they're pulling out straight away, because obviously you have these tokens that you want to sell out on the market, and if you're selling something, you need to have someone buying it, and it's almost the case that this smart money, this bot money pulling out of the market is what drives the market down, because suddenly they're trying to dump a lot of tokens on the market, and there's no one to buy those. So they really drive the price down, and then when the price drives down, then the whole economy implodes, and then everyone's trying to get out. You know, so they're very sort of dangerous situations to be in. You know, I wouldn't say they're necessarily Ponzi schemes, because I kind of think you need to know the reasoning of the people behind them to think they've set up a scam or a Ponzi scheme. But we can definitely say they have very sort of strong Ponzi scheme type dynamics, in the sense that the last people coming in are sort of paying off the other people. I mean, these things are more complex because you're paying out of normally an AMM, so something like PancakeSwap or something. So you're paying out from a liquidity pool rather than individuals. But this is sort of what happens. So what's interesting here, you know, I've just done this because it's the end of the month. So the number of active wallets is still increasing, even though we're now like 3 days into this sort of collapse. So whether that is just individuals who are not aware of what's going on, I mean, they probably should be. Whether this is sort of some level of bots that haven't been switched off yet, but this is sort of, you know, classic. The smart money's gone, and it takes a few days for everyone to realise that that's happened. So, you know, I've got no skin in the game. I've not played CryptoMines. I've not got any sort of money in there. So, you know, this is just me observing what's happened. I've seen what happened with crypto blades back in the day. And I think this is something that's sort of characteristic to these sort of products, particularly on Binance Smart Chain, or although not limited to that. So sort of my prediction on this one is, you know, even if this was sort of triggered by bots pulling out, this drop of the token price, when the token price drops this much, then it has to force a decrease of users. I mean, because why would you be playing these? You know, these are not exciting games to play that you would be prepared to pay, you know, tens or hundreds of dollars in order to play them. So this is a sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy that this will have to drop. Obviously, could be wrong. Like everything, you know, you have to look at the data. So definitely, I'll be looking over the next few days to see sort of what does happen to CryptoMines. But I did actually, I did tweet out, I can't remember, about a week or so ago, that I did think CryptoMines was going to be the next crypto blaze, because when you start to see this happening with the token price, then it's, as I say, it sort of becomes self-fulfilling. Because this sort of increase in value for these sort of products attracts bots, and bots drive it up higher, and then bots pull out, and then the whole thing sort of comes crashing down. So hopefully not, but I think pretty much certain to happen. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is Blockchain Gaming World, where I spend far too much time analysing these products. I mean, I do think there is something fascinating about them, and the more you do it, obviously, the more you see sort of patterns. Not always right, definitely not always right, but hopefully getting more right over time, if that makes sense. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel.